Always a pleasure bringing you the pulse of the Niger Delta region. My name is Xavier Robert. Here is what's taking center stage today. In recent weeks, Nigeria has witnessed a major shakeup in its security architecture. Talking about the government, which has moved decisively from withdrawing police escorts from VIPs and redeploying personnel to appointing a new Minister of Defense, declaring a nationwide security emergency and pledging renewed action against banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism. But as these reforms roll out, many citizens are still skeptical about the future. So the question remains, is the response reshaping the security narrative for good? And can we consolidate on the seeming progress? We'll delve straight into it on the focus of the day. But first, let's bring you a story of interest. The Court of Appeal in Abuja on Thursday affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court, which halted the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, also known as VIO, from further stopping impounding or confiscating vehicles on the road and imposing fines on motorists. Well, the appellate court, in the judgment delivered by Justice Oyejoju Ayebiola Oyewumi, held that the case of the VIO was lacking in merit. A cost of 1 million naira was also awarded against the appellant. You'd recall that Justice Evelyn Maha of the Federal High Court had, in a judgment in a fundamental rights enforcement suit last year, issued an order restraining the VIO from impounding or confiscating the vehicles of motorists and or imposing fines on any of them. Well, the judge predicated her decision because the appellants lacked the necessary legal backing to stop impounding or confiscating vehicles and or imposing fines on motorists. While the suit was filed by a rights activist and public interest lawyer, Mr. Abubakar Mashal, the judge held that the first to the fourth respondents were under the control of the fifth respondent, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, are not empowered by any law or statute to stop, impound, or confiscate vehicles or impose fines on motorists. So, well, to bring some insights into this particular decision, we have constitutional lawyer and human rights activist, Ukpe Esquire, joins us live on the program. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, for a very long time, we've heard Nigerians complain about the activities of the VIO. You think this is a win?
Yes, of course. It is a big win for Nigerians, and of course, it is a big win for democracy. You know, the drafters of the act that established the VIO may have, while drafting the act, created some lacunas that has not given the VIO, the Vehicle Inspection Office, the necessary legal backing for them to go on this their bazaar of impounding, stopping, and confiscating vehicles belonging to Nigerians. One, the courts maintain very clearly that this is a fundamental breach of the human rights of Nigerians by stopping them, breaching their rights to movement, by also not giving them fair hearing, by breaching their rights to ownership of property, and of course, it is also a breach of the fundamental rights of Nigerians by the doctrine of presumption of innocence. So you confiscating a vehicle belonging to a Nigerian, stopping them, and of course impounding them without necessary approach to the principles of presumption of innocence. What if you are doing the wrong thing and the law does not empower you? Of course, the act does not empower you. They don't have the necessary legal backing to carry on with this. So the judgment was a win for Nigeria. It was a well thought out judgment of the Court of Appeal yesterday.
Well, when you look at the limits of administrative agencies of this nature, but then they still overstretch to go about carrying out duties or tasks that is not captured legally, you think that is a problem that is not just seen within the VIO? There are other agencies of government that perpetrate this particular issue.
Exactly. This issue that you are just talking about now is not only in the VIO, but you see, just like we said that everybody are thieves, but the real thief is the one that is caught. That is just how we play around in a legal parlance. Yes. Now, this problem exists in other government agencies and institutions of government. You see, the problem is that most of these actors of these agencies claim to be more powerful than the law that establishes them. They see themselves as even being the law itself, forgetting that it is a legal framework that establishes the agency, and you must carry out all your activities within the framework of the law. So it goes beyond just the VIO. You find this constitutional rascality in other agencies of government. They step out beyond the framework of the law, because every agency of government, institution, named the parastatals, department, are established by the law, and as such you are supposed to operate. Your operations are supposed to be within the framework of the law. But when you step, these are even in the Nigerian police, of course, on daily basis, you see the Nigerian police trampling on the rights of Nigerians. They abuse the fundamental rights of Nigerians. They go beyond the law that establishes the Nigerian police. They keep suspects beyond what the doctrine of habeas corpus, which says that you cannot keep a suspect under your custody beyond 24 hours. Of course, it's either you release unconditional or you charge the suspect to court. But you will see the Nigerian police keeping a suspect for more than 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month in their custody. So it goes beyond. Of course, even in the Nigerian military, the military does not have the right to custody any suspect. They have the right to arrest and hand over to the police. But you see the Nigerian military having their own cells and keeping civilians, which is
a typical example is playing out in Okwama community. Of course,
exactly what happened in Okwama community. So you see this problem travels beyond different agencies of government. And I want this judgment of the Court of Appeal delivered yesterday by the learned justice of the Court of Appeal to be as a litmus test for all other agencies of government to take a cue, to learn from this judgment, knowing fully well that every agency of government is subject to the law, the established laws. Of course, they must work and operate within the framework of the law.
And talking about the clause where citizens complain about extortion and harassments of by the activities of the VIO, you think there should be some framework that is put in place towards ensuring that such excesses are curbed with this ruling?
Now, with the judgment of the Court of Appeal yesterday, what I expect immediately is for the National Assembly to immediately review the legal framework that establishes the VIO. Now, with this, I believe there are some reforms that are brought in. Of course, there will be more powers that will be accrued to the VIO to be able to carry out their work. That is exactly where, in that reformation that will come in. Sorry, one, because Nigerians will actually complain of extortion by VIO. Of course, they were not doing that. So you meet a motorist whose tire is worn out, a dilapidated tire. Instead of doing the right work, you go about extorting this person, impounding the car belonging to this person, and of course demanding for a huge sum of money. So that aspect of extortion really brings to fore the nakedness of the VIO. So I expect the National Assembly to review the legal framework that established this VIO, and of course bring in some reforms.
With the existence of the VIO and the Federal Road Safety Corps, you don't see duplicity of roles there?
No, I do not see duplicity of roles there. The Road Safety Corps, they have a specified mandate to carry out. And the VIO, like the VIO is its vehicle inspection office. Now, what is the primary duty of the VIO? It is to inspect certain part of the vehicle, because by rights, you are not supposed to drive a vehicle that the tire is dilapidated, is worn out. It may actually cause accident, not just to you, the motorist, but to others. You're not supposed to drive a car that has just one-sided light. You're not supposed to drive a car that does not have a fire extinguisher. Of course, there are certain things that was listed in the article of the VIO.
But we see the FRC performing these roles from time to time.
No, if you see, this is the problem. Exactly the problem with Nigerian institutions. Now, like I said, if you look at the act establishing these two bodies, they have spelled out their responsibility differently. But you see, when road safety perform this, they step outside their legal framework to go and do a work that was specified in the VIO Act to be done by the VIO. So most times Nigerians don't know this right. Once a Nigerian that knows this right accosts the road safety, there are some things the road safety will ask me in my car, and I will tell you, young man, you don't have the right to ask me for that. there are some certain things a VIO officer will ask me. I say, young man, you don't have the right to ask me. So, of course, when they are doing the review, if there is duplicity, of course, there's need to streamline on some of these agencies, because I told your line of argument, yes, there are a lot of agencies that have duplicity of duties. You see this one being established and this one being established, and they are almost doing the same thing.
Well, thank you very much, constitutional lawyer, human rights activist Martin Ukpe Esquire, for bringing some light to the VIO issue. And would hope to see if this 1 million naira fine that has been placed by the appeal court would go ahead to serve as deterrent to others.
Of course, the respondent knows he's a human rights lawyer, Abubakar Marshall Esquire. He knows how to go about to get his 1 million naira. Of course, he will go on garnishing proceedings immediately.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll bring you Niger Delta updates next. Stay tuned.